Good evening, folks. Welcome to Give Me the Remote. This is episode 10, which I'm amazed I've committed myself to something for 10 weeks, but I'm here with my hardworking co-host, John.
Hello, everybody. How are we tonight?
It's Saturday, 7th of July. Happy
Deep
Independence Day.
Independence Day, or Treason Day, depending on which side of the pond you're from.
Is that a bit like Australia Day over there? Like with the same kind of level of controversy, or?
There's less controversy because it's not a day of dispossession for the Indigenous people so much.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas, however, the Indigenous people of North America did largely side with the British and were terribly dealt with as a result of backing the wrong side. But in their broader scheme of grievances, the 4th of July is not the worst thing that ever happened to them, or at least they don't carry on like it is anyway.
Okay. Well, anyway, we digress.
We digress
Very,
enormously.
very far from our concept. So, first up, Ready Player One, which has just become available for download on iTunes.
Ernest Cline's big book that...
Have you read the book?
I have not read the book. And
I've read the book.
Yeah.
But I read it a long time ago.
It was a young adult book, and you were in the young adult category when you read it. Would that be correct?
No, actually, well, to be honest, I realised that I must have read the book very shortly after it came out, because it came out in 2011. And I thought the book had been around for a few years. But not so.
Yeah, I remember seeing it around in bookstores, and to me, it just seemed like...
I wouldn't have thought of it as a young adult book, actually, but
really?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Certainly the treatment it got in this Steven Spielberg production turned it very much into a young adult romp.
There are quite a few differences between the movie and the book.
I just felt, when I picked up the book back in the day, it was pretty derivative and doing the same thing that better authors had already really hashed over that ground.
I liked the book.
I totally get that it was a big phenomena in its niche. It just was I wasn't in that niche at the time. One
of the things that's a little... So basically the story is Wade, or as his avatar is, which is Percival?
Parzival.
What is it?
Parzival.
The
Grail Knight.
Oh, right, okay.
That's explained in the movie.
He lives in what's the year 2045, and he lives in a
trailer park in the sky.
A trailer park, which is just basically a bunch of shipping containers stacked on top of each other, called the stacks. And it's...
Which I didn't feel was a very realistic portrayal of future slums.
No, and actually I thought that was actually one of the parts that digressed pretty significantly from the book, because the book spends a lot of time in the real world and talks about the problems of the real world, and I don't think they really did that in the book. But anyway, so what happens is most people spend a lot of their time living in a virtual reality called the Oasis, where they can do various things, compete, just hang out, just be whoever they want to be. But the creator of the Oasis, someone named Halliday, put some Easter eggs, which for non-gamers are little sort of...
unexpected features.
Yeah, that you find through just playing.
And back in the day, an Easter egg was often put in by the programmers without the knowledge of the game's producers.
Yeah.
To get a little bit of their creativity, and sometimes to get their names out there, because in early game design, the design crew were often ignored, so it was just an Atari game or some such, you know. So
Halliday puts in a contest after he dies, or at least leaves the
shuffles off the mortal coil.
Yes, to find 3 keys, and the winner basically gains control of the Oasis,
which is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, well, everyone's spending all of their time in there, so it's worth a lot of money. One of my actual problems with the movie, and it has been a while since I read the book, so my recollection of what I thought about it at the time is that my problem is the Oasis seems like a really shit place to live.
Yeah, the experience is bad, because the way you if you get a key, if you get killed in game, the way you lose all your money and items.
You lose everything.
Yeah, so people are being bankrupted by
you have to
game kill.
Earn money to be able to play well.
Well, it's like today with loot boxes, isn't it?
It just doesn't seem like a very fun game. Anyway, so that's a little one of my problems with the
I thought the game mechanics as depicted in the movie might have been around cutting edge a decade ago, but the industry has evolved and matured, and even some of the things that are problems in video games today, they're just not getting to. So there were, and I mean, Spielberg was kind of, I felt in this movie was trying to recreate a cultural zeitgeist that he didn't really belong to. So in parts it felt almost like playing a Final Fantasy game where you basically do a bit of button mashing between awesome cutscenes.
There's definitely a lot more focus on style over substance. So there are a few scenes that are just those really cool Spielberg scenes, like a bit reminiscent of Jurassic Park. Especially there's the first key that they find involves competing in a race where there's like King Kong and
yeah, I mean
it looks cool, like it's super fun.
I mean the licensing of the cultural properties that they use in this game, from Gundam to Godzilla to King Kong to countless others, it must have cost a fortune. Even just the soundtrack to secure all the rights to the...
I know, but see, that's actually a really big part of the book. So one of the... So basically, in the book, the way that Wade, the main character, finds the keys is through... So the creator, Halliday, is obsessed with 80s culture, and the way that he finds the keys is by immersing himself in all of... Like watching heaps of 80s movies, playing heaps of 80s games. So in the movie, there's the archives that everyone kind of goes through to find hints for where the keys are. That's not in the book. So in the book, he just does that research on the side.
Because the archive does make it very Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
It does, yeah. I think it's a bit cheesy. But also there's this part in the book where... there's these sub-games where you have to play as though you're the main protagonist in several 80s films. So there's a lot of John Hughes films that they do.
They did reference the John Hughes stuff a bit.
They did, and they had that Shining sequence, which is awesome. Like, how they recreated that hotel in The Shining. Like, that first scene when they go in there, I just was, like, vocally out loud said, oh, wow. Because that looked exactly like that hotel. But there was a lot more licensing in the book than there was in
Well, you don't need to license things in books.
Yeah.
Whereas in movies you definitely do.
So they actually kind of pared that back a bit.
Yeah, right. I mean, it must have been a nightmare for some poor lawyer getting sign-off from so many different copyright owners to use their stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I can't remember...
So well done to whoever did that, because as a collage of cultural touchstones, it's quite a rock just saying, oh, I recognise that. And I know that they're toying with us to try and make us feel emotions that way.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like the kind of retro soundtrack thing, like Guardians of the Galaxy just really took that kind of to a bit of a new level recently, and it felt a little Guardians of the Galaxy in that way for me.
Oh, this is nowhere near Guardians of the Galaxy in quality.
No, but the use of music
was
similar.
I don't know, I mean, if I hear Blue Monday another time...
that was the only good bit in the whole... Like, well, you can actually never have a moment in life where they play New Order's Blue Monday and it be bad. It will make every single thing better.
It can, but it's not very creative.
No, but it's still like, pretty much the best song that ever existed.
Sure. I felt, and a lot of times, like I was just too old to enjoy this movie. The whole idea, you know, they're all... It was a bit like Scooby and the Gang in parts, you know, they're getting in the van and driving around and...
Yeah, it felt very cheesy and very, like, Goonies.
Yeah, it felt a lot like Goonies.
Which, I mean, to me, when I read the book, it did not feel Goonies. It felt...
dystopian.
Yeah, very dystopian. And they spend way more time in the real world in the book.
Now, I don't think it's a spoiler to say comes a moment at the end of the movie where suddenly police and lawyers turn up and adults appear to regain control and make everything good in the world.
Well, actually,
it was almost like a Deus Ex Machina, wasn't it?
I found the world that they live in, the Oasis, was very unregulated. A lot of really bad things were going on in there because there was really no adults controlling anything.
Some of the adults turned up once the game was resolved.
It was kind of weird. Like, you're like, this is kind of an example. I felt like the message was regulation is good.
I think all cyberpunk actually has a message that you wish you lived in a world that had some regulation, because it is a rebuke to the libertarian dream of, wouldn't it be great if we could all live in our seasteads with no pesky government telling us what to do?
Yeah.
And those guys are just jerks. And I'm sorry if any of our listeners are libertarians, but you need to grow up. You can't make a nail on your own. You need society.
One really good thing, actually, about the movie compared to the book is Artemis, so the female character. In the book, she is just a rubbish character.
Oh, that's
like, she's basically just there for his sexual, lusty pleasure. I mean, they don't have sex, I don't think, but
yeah, some people complained the way her character was changed. So when I was watching, this character's quite good.
People have complained about that.
Yeah.
What did they complain about?
They felt she didn't have. Anyway, I'm not going to speak for those other people whose arguments.
It has been a while since I did read it, but the character from memory was. I mean, they don't even meet until quite late.
Now, one thing that annoyed me, it turns out that his best friend in the game, slightly spoilery here, H, is actually a girl, but not a very attractive girl.
So how come he played by Lena Waithe, who is actually like pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, she's done a lot. She was in Aziz Ansari's Master of None. Sorry. Yeah, she's done a lot of really cool stuff. She's playing a very younger character than I think she is in this as well. But yeah, I just felt in a way it was like, how come he's got his romantic attraction to the cute redhead who is disfigured by a rather cute birthmark.
But in the Oasis, H is a man.
Yes, I get that. But when it turns out that H is a woman and he's been like his bestie forever, I felt that there was something that should have had more resolution there. To
be fair, though, H in real life in the movie is pretty kind of non-binary, kind of queer identifying kind of character.
I don't think this H's sexuality is resolved.
But
okay, maybe H is cool with
her presentation is
Artemis. I don't. Maybe that's fine. Actually, H is not cool with it. Remember, H is really unhappy about Wade wanting to get with a girl. H is positively jealous in parts.
Really? I didn't take that.
Yeah, I was like, keep saying, it's probably some big ugly dude at,
But wasn't that just...
I don't think it was personal safety. I think it was outright jealousy.
No, that was just her saying that because she was playing in the game as a guy.
And as a big guy.
Yeah, and so I guess she was thinking, well, hang on, I'm the opposite of what I am in real life, so maybe Artemis is the opposite.
I get that, but I
didn't take it as jealousy at all.
I
just took it as looking out for your friend.
I thought it was a looking out for the friend with a note of jealousy built in. But anyway,
we disagree.
I think we can move on from that. I just thought the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory element to it. I don't know whether it was even necessary. Again, it's this thing that I rail against, where the protagonist is made the centre of the universe. And there's no reason for Wade to be the centre of the universe, and the story doesn't require Wade to be the centre of the universe.
Wade's played by an actor called Ty Sheridan, which is a pretty cool name, by the way.
Yes, it's a parachute insertable tank.
He was a pretty like meh kind of actor, I felt.
Well, the character's meant to be a bit of a schlub, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just pretty kind of, I don't know, nondescript and a bit kind of dull. Non-offensive, maybe is a better term.
I think he just played the character pretty well. Ben Mendelsohn, Aussie Ben.
Ben Mendelsohn must be like living a pretty comfortable life at the moment, because he gets these roles in pretty big budget Hollywood movies. And I mean, he's a great character actor, but he'd be getting some pretty good coin from these films, and he probably doesn't really live any of the trappings of being a super famous celebrity, so he's able to go about his everyday life.
Yeah, so for the international audience, I mean, we've grown up with Ben Mendelsohn here in Australia doing quirky little roles in quirky little Australian films. Idiot Box is like a great little independent movie that you've probably never heard of if you live outside of Australia. Where a much younger Ben Mendelsohn, it's almost like Falling Down for the Australian suburbs, I think is a fair comparison. And it's just great because we've always known he's a great actor, but he just seems to have been having this late Hollywood flourish.
Oh, I think Ben Mendelsohn is living the dream. He is living a great life.
In Rogue One, he got to be a great Star Wars villain. I mean, he's an action figure. You know, when you can give your kids the action figure of you're doing pretty well.
I know, but I reckon he goes down to Starbucks and people are like, I know you. They're like, oh, you were in Star Wars, cool, man. But he doesn't have any of the hassle of being papped or whatever.
Well, a few more of these sorts of roles, and he's going to start. TMZ's going to take an interest.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yes. So the Ben Mendelsohn fan club certainly appreciated his role in this as the baddie.
He's doing the same thing over and over now, a little, but it's cool. It works. It's interesting.
Yeah, he's just the baddie boss. He's got some interesting facial tics that could become annoying if we see it in too many more movies, but I would assume his directors are supposed to be keeping an eye on that.
Anyway, so what would you rate it?
Can we just explore a little more the Scooby Gang stuff?
So are you talking about the high fives, the gang they're in? They're not a clan because their whole thing is we don't clan up to try and win the game.
Which also seemed odd. Like, where's the glory in not clanning up?
To be fair, like, if you've played massively multiplayer online games, there are people that play those games where they really focus on clan-based kind of tactics and strategy, or there's just the independent roamer. Yeah. And, that's, how I've played those games.
Look, I've never gotten serious in a guild or a clan in my online gaming, so I'm like, oh, that's me. But I'm like, there's never any glory in it. I haven't done it to be... because I'm making a stand or anything. There's no principle to it. It's just I've never felt a particular need and I haven't wanted to commit the time. Whereas if I'm living in the game, like Wade is supposedly, he should be starting a clan. Him and H and some other people that they like.
Well, I think they just have... But then, I've played multiplayer games where, you kind of... you meet people that you know and you kind of see them all the time and you might do little missions or whatever with them, but you're not, in a formal clan.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of the social element of multiplayer gaming that I felt that they got kind of accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt that was underexplained why they felt that was a thing. But then you had the whole, we've got the van and we'll drive around in the van and we'll do cool stuff. And it just...
I really did not like in this movie how the virtual reality is sort of people put their glasses on and were physically punching things and jumping in the real world because you would freaking die.
Yeah, the continuity was broken in...
It's really stupid.
In all sorts of ways with that, and the extent to which the quality of your suit affected your gameplay, whether you could just play with goggles and gloves or whether you needed a full body suit. There's a lot of questions that were sort of half raised and never explored in the way they went through these things, and I think a lot of it wasn't that well thought out.
Yeah, that part of it was really dumb.
But at the same time, it's how do you actually make a movie showing that stuff? Because you got to make a movie that's got to be motion on the screen. You can't just show a bunch of people wearing goggles.
They would have to only show them in the... Well, they would be drooling down the side of their chin in the real world.
You don't drool down the side of your chin when you play VR.
Yeah, but the VR that we play isn't as sophisticated as the Oasis.
No, we do have to sit still when we play
as
well.
And they would all need to sit still too.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to give it 3 stars with a caveat that it's good fun, and if you just want something to have a bit of fun with and watch stuff go zoom on the screen and see Gundam fighting Godzilla, then, you know, give it a shot. But I don't think it's great. I just think it's a good, solid 3-star bit of fun.
I would agree with that assessment. I'm going to give it 3 stars and the exact same view. Fun, awesome. Watch it. Nice little Friday nighter with a pizza and a beer.
Cool. High five. Ooh. So what's next?
Travel Man.
Richard Ayoade.
So this is basically an anti-travel show, is how I'd describe it. It's available on SBS On Demand.
In Australia. It's on a bunch of other services, though. The New York Times Watching newsletter covered it just today, which is where we get our inspiration for a lot of shows to watch.
Do we?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening. I just thought you knew a lot about shows and were suggesting them to me.
Our relationship is largely based on the New York Times Watching newsletter.
Wow. So, Richard Ayoade is a British comic
He's Moss in the IT crowd.
Yes. So, concept is 48 hours in a foreign city.
Yep.
And it's about 30 minutes an episode.
But I would say that, for context here, Richard Ayoade has built his persona doing a show called Gadget Man, which I also quite enjoy, and you tend to fall asleep when it comes on.
I was about to say, I don't think I've seen Gadget Man, so...
it's like a magic wand. Every time I put it on, you go...
Like...
and so he's the character... It's still a character. It's not... I don't even believe Richard Ayoade is his real name. The character he plays is largely based on Moss from the IT crowd. And...
So he's a bit kind of like highly strung, nerdy.
Highly strung, misanthropic, doesn't like people very much. And I think there's something that everyone can relate to in that whole, you know what, let's get rid of all these people who are upsetting me and find some space on my own. It's not, you know, I'm not saying I never want to be around people. I love being around people. I'm a very social creature. I just have times when I want to close the door and close the blinds and not deal with people, and this character that he's created around himself plays to that. And so with Travel Man, yes, he goes to cities and he finds some really cool places to look at, and then he'll give them really scathing reviews, which I think is part of the fun of it. He's not afraid to drop a bucket when something's terrible.
No, but... So because I'm about to travel to Dubai, so I watched the Dubai episode, and the best thing he could find about Dubai was that they have the same type of electrical plugs that they do in the UK.
Yes.
And that kind of sums up what you're going to get. It's kind of like you don't really watch this show for inspiration to travel.
You don't watch it for inspiration to travel, but having decided already to travel somewhere and booked your tickets...
I don't know, it really didn't make me want to go to Dubai. I was like...
I could have warned you about Dubai without you watching the show.
But he does bring on another comic or celebrity to travel with him.
And a straight man.
Yeah.
Or woman, but a straight person to play against.
Counter it out, yeah.
Although they tend to be just as miserable as he is.
Usually, yeah. Well, I guess they're comics, so they're all a bit unhappy, really.
Yeah. But I like Richard Ayoade's shtick in the Gadget Man, Travel Man thing. I find it relatable. I find he talks about things that I care about, like how do I power my phone and what's the Wi-Fi like. And is the food any good? In general, I know I'm not unique or alone in this. When I travel, I care a lot more about the meals that I eat, and I'm looking to have things I can't get at home, and the beers that I drink, and the company I keep. I guess meeting new people is a big part of travel. And he covers those things really well for how you're going to encounter a city. He really gets down to the brass tacks of the things you care about.
The thing that probably is good is that he kind of does travel in a way that most people probably do travel.
The price range is accessible.
Yeah, like the Dubai one, they did this thing where they ended up staying in a £3,000 a night hotel, but they actually acknowledged, we're doing this, and this is not usually what we would do. But usually they just kind of go to like regular restaurants, regular kind of tourist attractions.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the Top Gear effect with doing the expensive stuff. The TV show Top Gear with the sort of a car show that morphed into something bigger than that. They'd always get complaints saying, why are you driving Lamborghinis? Why don't you review Ford Focuses? And the answer is, you can go down to any car dealership in the world and test drive a Ford Focus yourself. So if you want to know about a Ford Focus, go test drive it. You don't need to see these guys on TV. What they do in that show is they take a Lamborghini out and tell you what it's really like to drive it. And that's interesting. I actually want to know what it's like to drive a Lamborghini, and I'm not going to get that opportunity. So in a travel show, I don't mind a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Of this thing is out there and you can't afford it. But I also do like that the show frequently is doing things that I'm literally looking at, making a note saying, when I'm in Amsterdam, I want to go here and do this.
Yeah, and like when they did the Amsterdam episode, they got all like the kind of foods that you would eat when you're in the Netherlands and kind of rated them in like a funny way. And you're thinking, oh yeah, well I should probably buy that when I'm there and have a little
I don't think anyone goes to Amsterdam for the food, do they?
I actually ate really good meals when I was in Amsterdam.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Amsterdam has lots of...
the munchies helps make things taste
Ollie
better.
Bonnies. Fried dried fruit, please. Not that we partake of such things at all. No, not us.
No, but it's legal there, so it's okay.
Anyway, moving on. I believe it's not criminal, but anyway.
You can buy it there, though.
I think Pulp Fiction had a lengthy depiction. Anyway, I think...
we'll test that out when we're there in a few weeks.
Although we will not break the laws of any country anywhere in this podcast.
Of course not.
No. How do you rate something like this? I mean,
I don't know. I feel like the episodes are a bit up and down too.
It's light entertainment fluff. This isn't going to change your life or the way you see the world. At the same time, Richard Ayoade's character is engaging. He's a bit different to most things you see on TV because he's very convincing in his skinny nerd role.
I feel like this is the kind of show that probably would have actually done better in like the old TV free-to-air kind of environment. Because like if you had this show on after the news on a Monday night when you just made dinner, you wouldn't change it. You just watch it and then you wouldn't watch another one. But to actively like select it and choose to watch it is kind of a different proposition.
I think if you're travelling, definitely just check out the episodes.
Well, that's what we've done, because we're about to travel, so we've just watched all of the places we're going to.
Dear listeners, be warned, there is going to be some disruption to our podcasting schedule in the next few weeks while we're on opposite sides of the planet and then in transit and stuff. So,
and I'll only be able to review movies that you can download on planes.
Yeah, which does mean we're going to be reviewing a lot of plane movies, so there's that. We'll have time to watch some things. Okay, I think we're done with this. I reckon 3.5 stars.
I'm going to go 3 stars.
Only because you don't do half stars.
Yeah. I feel actually like we probably need to start reviewing some like rubbish shows. I feel like everything's a bit 3-starry.
Oh, I've been over 4-starring, really. 3 stars slumming it for me.
I've had no 2 stars.
Well, why would we watch bad things?
Well, to help everyone else out, to say don't watch them.
But they should just watch the things we recommend. We've already pre-screened before we even start watching. Anywho, 3-ish stars from us for Richard Ayoade's Travel Man. Also, if you find him engaging, I would definitely check out Gadget Man. And on that note, so what's next?
Let's review a bit of an oldie, but a goodie, Bojack Horseman.
Bojack Horseman!
If you haven't watched it, you don't get that reference, but...
Now, one thing I love about talking about Bojack Horseman with people who've never watched it
When you just try and describe what it is.
Is you say, it's Bojack Horseman, and they say, oh, is it some sort of person who rides a horse, and what, it's a tribe of Bojack? And it's like, no, it's a guy called Bojack, and he's a horse. What?
Yeah.
He's a horse? Well, he's a horseman. It's a horse. He likes riding horses?
No, he's like a horse that dresses up in clothes and is a man. So the Bojack Horseman world, so it's set in like a... John's just opening a beer. Just everyone else get yourself one.
Yeah. I've got plenty for everyone.
Is a world... I mean, it's basically set in like a Hollywood.
It's an alternate reality when anthropomorphic, tailless animals live amongst human beings.
Yes, so there's...
I got that from Wikipedia 5 minutes
ago. Did you? I did. Wow. So there's human characters and animal characters, and Bojack Horseman was the star of a really famous TV show that seems a lot sort of like Full House kind of.
Very Full House-ish, yeah.
In the 90s, and then like, so he was super, super famous.
He was basically Tony Danza.
Yeah, and then just becomes
Tony Danza is pretty much the role model for Bojack Horseman, I think.
He just becomes like this washed-up celebrity, but he's super rich from all the royalties, and he's...
Is he super rich?
He's pretty...
He's got a beautiful house.
He's pretty rich. He's well off.
Yeah.
And he's trying to kind of get his second career going, so he's got his agent that he's also involved with, who's a cat. And he has a guy living on his couch that's like... who's that guy?
Aaron Paul.
Yeah, but who's the guy that lived with O.J. Simpson? Like a Kato Kalin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not
that kind of vibe.
I love that Aaron Paul has got a fun role here, because I was really worried about him after Breaking Bad.
Really? Why?
It just looked like that took a lot out of him.
But that character in Breaking Bad was the most likable character in the whole show.
He won more consecutive Grammys than anyone's ever won through it, but it also felt like he was taking a deep
Isn't
toll
he married
on him.
to like Christy Turlington or something?
Yeah,
like,
I think Aaron Paul's leading
okay.
a pretty good life, but I'm just glad he's got a nice character to play here.
He does, yeah. So Bojack's voiced by Will Arnett.
Who is like, he's the king of Netflix, isn't he?
Yeah, well, like with Arrested Development and Flagged is a great show. We should review that.
Yeah. So it's just Will Arnett is Netflix series gold, isn't he? Because he's just relatable. He's balding, but he's funny and he's droll, and he's basically the everyman we all us blokes think we should be anyway.
But I really like how this show, like, it's so sad.
Oh yeah,
it's a cartoon horse, and you're like, it's so sad.
It's about depression. Because it's a cartoon, it can really push things out there in ways that if they were depicting real people in real life, the drinking and the accidents would be horrific.
Yeah.
So that's good that they can lighten that up a bit.
So Bojack's main kind of love interest is a human reporter named Diane.
Well, she's not his love interest.
Why?
Because she's married to Mr. Peanut
No,
Butter.
but he's in love with her.
Yeah, but Princess Carolyn is his love interest.
But he is in love with Diane.
He develops romantic feelings for Diane, but Diane is always with Mr. Peanut Butter.
That's true. I mean, that's the whole sadness of the unrequited love.
Yeah.
But she's voiced by Alison Brie, who was in Community. Mm-hmm. But I have a bit of a problem with that, with her character, because I just don't think she's in his league.
You don't think she's in his league?
Well, she's too good for him.
So he's not in her league?
Yeah. Well, either way, they're not in each other's league.
I think he's definitely on a par with Mr. Peanut Butter, the golden retriever who was in the rival.
No way, Mr. Peanut Butter's way better. Mr. Peanut Butter has his shit together.
Mr. Peanut Butter's so annoying.
Everyone knows that Mr. Peanut Butter, by the way, like someone who's like super nice, like a bit handsome, not like overly good looking, but just like enough.
Like a golden retriever.
Yeah, like a golden retriever, who's super nice, but like never does anything wrong. But underneath it all, you just really freaking hate them because they're kind of annoying. Everyone knows that person. Anyway,
we're not naming names though, are we? No.
I think I know several Mr. Peanut Butters. But you do still like
it. And yet you've ended up with a Bojack. What's going on there?
Bojack? Maybe I've ended up with the Todd, the Aaron Paul character. Oh no, he's quite likeable.
Hang on. Our Aaron Paul character is living at the other end of this house.
All right, we're getting too personal now. But yeah, I mean, it's a great show. When I was researching to do this review, because Bojack started in 2014, so it's a bit old.
So this show literally came out just as we first started dating.
Oh, did it?
And somewhere you had mentioned that you liked the paintings of Philip Rothko. And
Mark Rothko.
Sorry, Mark Rothko. Philip Rothman. Sorry,
yeah.
Yes.
Because that actually, I'd forgotten about that. It's a very big theme in the first season.
It is a very big theme in the first season. And I remember, because you told me about how much you love Rothkos. Let's stick with the Rothkos. And I was like, I've been watching this show that keeps talking about Rothkos. And you didn't believe me. And then you came over and watched it. And things went quite well from there. So, yeah. Bojack Horseman has played an integral part in this relationship.
But when I was researching for this, and I went over some of the episode descriptions from the first season, I think the first season isn't actually that good. It's okay. It's good, but it's not as good as what it becomes.
I don't know. See, in the later seasons, they do some real concept, and I hate.
They do, but
I hate concept episodes.
But the middle, the seasons 2 and 3 are just amazing.
Yeah.
So you kind of, I'm just saying to anyone who's not watched it, and they might, chuck that first season on, because we're going to give it I assume you're going to do what I'm going to do and give it the 5-er.
Let's wait till we get there.
But you might put that first season on and go, ooh, I don't know if this is 5 stars.
Well, look, the first season was very controversial, and lots of reviewers said they didn't like it. Lots of reviewers said they did like it. The second and third season, yes, were much higher unanimous critical acclaim. I think part of that was people were getting it more.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, because I watched the first season now and I still love it, but I think that's probably just a kind of nostalgia element, and that I like rewatching them. And
yeah, look, it's I liked it right from the start.
So did I, but I don't know if I liked it as much as I do now.
Anyway, so the new season's coming in September, so this is actually the perfect time if you haven't watched it.
To get in.
To take our recommendation and say, just fire that thing up on Netflix, find a girl that likes Rothko paintings.
Or a guy, or a they, or a whatever.
Someone who you're going to be, sexually compatible with. And it could be the start of a beautiful relationship, and in 4 years' time you'll have a podcast. So, I mean, I can't recommend Bojack Horseman highly enough.
It's one of those... I always appreciate a cartoon that can make you kind of tear up. I think if you are a cartoon with a horseman and you can cry, you've done something amazing.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, the Futurama episode where Fry finds his dog is going to forever haunt me as the most amazing cartoon ever made. But yeah, I mean, Bojack certainly, the characters are relatable. You feel things as they feel them. They develop quite well and often in unexpected ways. How they sustain that going forward is certainly going to be a challenge, but there's a fair old writing team working at it, so I have some faith in them. Yeah. You know what? I came into starting this review thinking I was around a 4-star, and you've talked me up to the 5.
Yeah,
so.
it's definitely a 5-star. It's one of the best things that to me has been on television in the last 5 years.
It's a real Netflix anchor as well.
Yeah.
It's a reason to keep your Netflix subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, 5 stars for
5 stars.
Bojack Horseman. That's the last thing we're doing tonight, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
So,
we still haven't had any emails.
we have had a review, which was awesome. We now know who it is.
We've hunted down the
reviewer.
We
think that person. It's very exciting.
Yeah. So more reviews.
Yeah, more reviews. Maybe even just by the same reviewer. Just keep hammering them out.
Do send emails to gmtrpodcast@gmail.com, if only to suggest shows you'd like us to
yes,
peruse.
Because we will watch some.
Having said that, our production schedule is going to go to hell in a handbasket until late August.
Yes, we will endeavour to try and do long distance podcasts, but it may fail miserably because I will be in the UK and John will be in Australia. But there will be a brief period when we're in Paris, but we may not feel like doing podcasts then.
Because there's nothing like spending a very expensive day in Paris, sitting in a hotel doing a podcast about watching TV shows.
Do you reckon we could do it in a little park somewhere?
Well, we could. We have the technology. Yeah.
Yeah. We won't have watched any shows. That might be more of the problem.
Well, there's a lot of transit time, so we'll be watching something, I imagine.
Yeah, we could do a Qantas Club review.
Which is reviewing of the Qantas Club.
No, we'd do our review in the Qantas Club.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Use their Wi-Fi. Clever. Okay, folks. Well, hopefully we've entertained you once again. Those of you who are sticking with us, we do appreciate your listenership. And we might not be back next week, but we will be back at some point afterwards. So keep your eyes peeled to the feed. Okay, good night.
See ya.